You must be one of the new starters. I'm Maya. I'm starting this week too, actually.
Oh, really? That's a relief, honestly. I'm Daniel Marsh. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Daniel. Are you finding everything all right so far? I spent about 10 minutes looking for this room.
I did the same thing. I walked past it twice before I noticed the sign.
The sign is tiny. I don't know why they make it so small. Anyway, what department are you joining?
I'm going into the marketing team, just as a junior coordinator for now, but I'm hoping to learn a lot in the first few months. What about you?
Finance, which sounds very serious when you say it out loud, but the team seems really welcoming. I met a few of them yesterday during the induction.
Oh, you were here yesterday too? I didn't make it in until this morning. My train was delayed.
That's the worst way to start a new job. Were you stressed?
Yeah, a little, yeah. I kept thinking, what do I say when I arrive late? How do I explain without making a bad first impression?
And what did you say?
I just said, I'm sorry I'm late. My train was delayed. I'm Daniel, one of the new starters. And that was actually fine. They were completely nice about it.
See, that's exactly it. You told him who you are, why you were late, and you kept it simple. That's all an introduction really needs to be.
I always think I need to say more, like I need to give a whole speech or something.
Most people feel that way at first, but the thing is, a good introduction is short. It's just your name, maybe your role, and one thing that opens the door to a real conversation.
One thing that opens the door. I like that.
Try it now if you want. Pretend I'm someone you've never met.
Right now? In the break room?
Right now. Go on.
Okay. Hi, my name's Daniel. I'm just starting in the marketing team this week. I'm really looking forward to getting to know everyone.
That was great. Genuinely. It was warm, it was clear, and it felt completely natural.
It didn't feel natural from the inside.
It never does from the inside. That's the thing nobody tells you.
Is that true for you too? You seem like someone who's always known exactly what to say.
Absolutely not. The first time I had to introduce myself in a professional setting, I forgot my own job title. I said, I'm Maya and I work in numbers.
Numbers?
Numbers. That was my entire answer. The woman I was talking to was very kind about it.
That actually makes me feel a lot better.
Good. That was the point. Look, everyone feels a bit uncertain when they introduce themselves. The trick is to just start. The moment you say your name out loud, the rest follows.
Just start. Yeah, that's genuinely helpful.
And it helps to have a few phrases ready. Not a script, just a couple of lines you know work, so you're not starting from zero every time.
Like what?
Like, hi, I'm... which sounds obvious, but a lot of people freeze before they even get there. Or, it's great to meet you. Simple, genuine, it lands every time.
I always second-guess things like that. I think, is it too simple? Does it sound like I don't know what to say?
It sounds like a person. That's what you want. You don't want to sound like a presentation.
A presentation. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like sometimes. Like I'm standing up in front of the class.
And what happens in that moment?
My mind goes blank. I know what I want to say, but the words just disappear.
That happens to almost everyone. But here's something that actually helps. If your mind goes blank, just repeat your name. I'm Daniel. Full stop. Let the other person respond. You don't have to carry the whole introduction alone.
I never thought of it as something shared. I always thought the pressure was entirely on me.
An introduction is a conversation. It takes two people. The other person wants it to go well just as much as you do.
That's actually a completely different way of thinking about it.
Did anyone ever teach you how to introduce yourself, like properly?
Not really. I mean, at school they'd say, stand up and tell us about yourself. And I'd stand up and my face would go red and I'd say my name and sit down as fast as possible.
Every classroom in the world, every single one. Was yours the same?
Identical. I used to write my introduction on my hand so I wouldn't forget it.
On your hand?
On my hand. in very small letters. Name, age, one fact. That was the whole system.
That's brilliant. And did it work?
Mostly. Once the ink smudged and I thought my name started with a W.
No.
I introduced myself as Waya for an entire morning before my teacher corrected me.
That's the best story I've heard all week. And it's only Tuesday.
The week has time. All right, let me ask you something. When you introduce yourself and it goes well, what does that feel like?
Honestly, like a door opened. Like suddenly the conversation has somewhere to go. Exactly. That's exactly what a good introduction does. It doesn't end the moment, it starts one.
I've never thought of it that way. I always thought of it as something you get through rather than something you actually enjoy.
That's the shift. Once you stop trying to survive it and start thinking of it as the beginning of something real, it changes completely.
I think I've been approaching it completely wrong for years.
Most people have. That's not your fault. Nobody really teaches this. They just expect you to know.
Do you think there's a moment when it stops feeling scary?
I think there's a moment when it stops feeling like the most important thing in the room. It becomes just part of the conversation.
Part of the conversation, not the whole thing.
Exactly. And once it's just part of the conversation, it stops being something you have to get right and starts being something you actually want to do.
Because you're curious about the other person.
There it is.
Can I ask you something personal and you can absolutely say no?
Go ahead.
When you're introducing yourself in English, is that harder than doing it in your first language?
Honestly, yes. In my own language, it's just automatic. I don't think about it. But in English, there's this extra layer where I'm also checking, did I say that correctly? Does my accent make sense? Am I using the right word?
That extra layer is exhausting. You're having a conversation and monitoring yourself at the same time.
Exactly. And by the time I've checked everything, the moment has moved on and I've missed it.
So, what's the answer? How do you turn that monitoring off?
I don't know. That's sort of what I'm trying to figure out.
I think the answer is repetition, not practice in front of a mirror, actual repetition with real people. Every time you do it, the monitoring gets a little quieter.
Because it becomes more familiar.
Because your brain stops treating it as a threat and starts treating it as just a thing you do, like making coffee. You don't monitor yourself when you make coffee.
I definitely do monitor myself when I make coffee in a new office kitchen.
Fair point. Okay, like something you've done 1,000 times then.
Something you've done 1,000 times. Yeah, I get that.
Let's talk about the actual words for a moment, because I think one of the things that makes introductions hard is that people don't know which words to use and which to leave out.
That's exactly it. I never know how much detail to give. Like, do I mention where I'm from? Do I say what I studied? Do I say how long I've been working in this field?
It depends entirely on the context. In a professional setting like this one, the most useful thing you can say after your name is your role and one sentence about what you're looking forward to. That's it.
Just one sentence?
One sentence. I'm really looking forward to getting to know the team. Or I'm excited to learn how things work here. Something that shows you're open, not something that lists your entire CV.
That's so different from what I thought. I thought I needed to give them a reason to find me interesting.
You are the reason. You don't need to list credentials. People connect with people, not with qualifications.
People connect with people. That's going on my wall.
Please do. Now, what about social settings? Meeting people at a party or at an event, or even just standing next to someone in a queue.
That's actually harder for me than professional settings.
Why?
Because in a professional setting, there's a structure. You know why you're both there, but socially it's open. You have to create the reason for the conversation yourself.
That's a really intelligent observation, actually. You've just identified exactly why small talk feels harder than formal introductions.
Have I?
In a professional setting, the context does half the work. Socially, you have to bring the context yourself. And for a lot of people, especially in a second language, that's where it breaks down.
So what do you do in that situation?
You borrow the context from wherever you are. If you're at an event, you say, "Have you been to one of these before?" If you're at a friend's gathering, you say, "How do you know the host?" The setting gives you the opening. You just have to take it.
And then your name comes after.
Naturally, once the conversation has started, introducing yourself feels completely organic. "By the way, I'm Maya," and they say their name and you're in.
You make it sound genuinely easy.
It is easy once you stop treating it as a test. The moment you decide it's just a conversation, the difficulty drops by about 80%.
80% is a very specific number.
I made it up, but it felt about right.
It does feel about right, actually.
One more thing that I think helps a lot, asking a question immediately after you introduce yourself. Don't just say your name and wait. Give them something to respond to.
Like what?
"I'm Daniel. Is this your first time at this kind of event?" Or, "I'm Daniel. Have you worked here long?" It takes the spotlight off you immediately and puts the conversation into motion.
So you introduce yourself and then redirect.
Exactly. You're not performing, you're opening a door and then stepping aside so they can walk through it.
That's a completely different mental image from what I had before.
What did you have before?
I had standing on a stage, lights on me, everyone waiting to judge.
And now?
A door opening. Yeah, that's much better.
What's one situation right now, this week, where you could use that?
The team lunch on Thursday. I've been quietly dreading it since I saw it in the calendar.
Perfect opportunity. You walk in, you find someone who's standing on their own, there's always at least one person, and you say, "Hi, I'm Daniel, one of the new starters this week. Is it okay if I join you?"
Is it okay if I join you? That's such a good line. It's polite, it tells them who you are, and it gives them the choice.
And 99 times out of 100, they say yes because they're relieved someone came over.
They're relieved too?
Everyone is relieved when someone makes the first move. That's the great secret of introductions.
I genuinely did not know that.
Most people don't. They think the other person is perfectly comfortable and they're the only one who's nervous. But usually both people are nervous. Both people are waiting.
So the person who speaks first is just the one who decided to go first?
That's all it is, a decision. Not confidence, just a decision.
Not confidence, just a decision. I think that might be the most useful thing I've heard all week.
Can I tell you the one phrase I think every beginner absolutely needs? The one that works in almost every introduction?
Please.
It's really nice to meet you. That's it. 4 words after your name, and suddenly the whole exchange feels warm. It sounds small, but it changes everything.
It's really nice to meet you. It does feel different from just nice to meet you.
Just nice to meet you sounds automatic. Adding really makes it sound like you mean it, and when it sounds like you mean it, people respond to that. They open up.
And do you mean it, or is it just a phrase?
That's the interesting part. You say it genuinely, even if you're nervous, and something shifts. The phrase almost creates the feeling it describes.
Like the words help you arrive in the moment.
Exactly. Language doesn't just describe how we feel. Sometimes it actually shapes it.
I hadn't thought about it that way. I always thought of phrases as tools, but you're saying they're more than that.
They're more than that. They're invitations. Every good phrase and an introduction is an invitation for the other person to respond, to connect, to keep going.
Okay. What else? Give me the full set.
All right. My name's, not my name is. The contraction makes it conversational, not formal. I'm new here. It's my first week. Simple, honest, immediately relatable. What do you do? Classic, but it works every time. And I'd love to find out more about your role. That one shows genuine interest and takes the pressure completely off you.
I'd love to find out more about your role. That's elegant. It doesn't feel like an interview question.
Because it isn't one. It's an expression of genuine curiosity, and people love talking about what they do when someone asks with real interest.
What about when you have to introduce yourself to a whole group, like standing up in a meeting?
Ugh, the feared group introduction. Okay, structure helps here. Name first, role second, one sentence about what you're bringing to the table, then, and this is the important part, a question for the group.
A question for the group.
Something like, I'm looking forward to learning from everyone here. Could someone tell me a bit about how the team usually works together? It immediately makes you part of the conversation rather than the object of it.
Rather than the object of it. I love that.
You stop being the person being looked at and you become the person asking. The dynamic shifts completely.
I have a team meeting on Friday, a full department introduction. I've been trying not to think about it.
And now?
And now I think I actually have something to say, a real structure, not a script I'm going to forget, just a shape.
A shape is all you need. Your name, your role, one genuine thing, a question. That's the whole shape.
Name, role, one genuine thing, a question.
And if you forget the question, your name and one genuine thing is already enough. You've already made an impression. The rest is just conversation.
What counts as a genuine thing? Like, what kind of thing?
Something that's true and specific to you, not, I'm excited to be here, everybody says that. Something like, I've always wanted to work in this kind of environment because the projects you do here are exactly what I'm passionate about. Or even just, I make very good coffee and I'm hoping that earns me some goodwill in the first week.
That one I can actually use.
Use it. It works. People remember it.
You know, I came into this room to make coffee and I didn't actually make the coffee.
Neither did I. We both just stood here and talked.
And somehow that was better.
That's what a good introduction does. It takes you somewhere you weren't expecting to go.
I feel like I should write all of this down.
You don't need to write it down. You already know it. We just put words to things you already felt but didn't have language for yet.
That's a generous way to put it.
It's the true way to put it. The nervousness you had this morning, that wasn't lack of ability. That was just the gap between knowing something and having the right words.
And now I have some of the words.
And now you have some of the words. And Thursday lunch is going to go better than you think.
Is it okay if I join you? I'll say it to the first person I see standing alone.
And then, it's really nice to meet you. And then you ask them one question and you listen. That's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. Hi, I'm Daniel. It's really nice to meet you. Have you worked here long?
Perfect. Do you see? You just did it right now, naturally, without thinking.
I did, didn't I? That actually felt good.
It's going to feel good on Thursday, too.
I hope you're right.
I usually am. About introductions, anyway.
I'll take that. Thank you, Maya, genuinely. This was not the morning I expected.
Me either. Good unexpected, though.
Definitely good unexpected. I'm really glad I couldn't find this room the first time.
Best thing that could have happened to either of us.
Same time tomorrow for the coffee we never actually made?
I'll be here, and maybe this time I'll actually make it.
Looking forward to it.